Hey now, and welcome to the 15th episode of the Help Find the Others podcast. If you've been here with us since the beginning, well then welcome back. If this is your first time hearing this podcast, well then welcome. Tonight's quote, I'd like to start out with not an author, but kind of a influential figure in the last century, and that's Steve Jobs. And this is from an interview where he talked about his prior psychedelic usage and how it affected him. Taking LSD was a profound experience, one of the most important things in my life. LSD shows you that there's another side to the coin, and you can't remember it when it wears off, but you know it. It reinforced my sense of what was important, creating great things instead of making money, putting things back into the stream of history and human consciousness as much as I could. So I chose that quote because Steve Jobs not only was one of the richest people, around, but was very influential in the things he created and kind of changing history, like he said. And to hear that was influenced by LSD is very interesting and very uplifting and motivating. But also because of what he mentioned about the importance of creating great things instead of making money. I felt like I've been motivated to talk about finances and economics and how that relates to the consciousness revolution. So that's what tonight's podcast is going to be about. And we don't have a guest tonight, but as always, Stan is on the line. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Excited to get another one going.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been a while since we recorded one, even though we recorded ahead, so there shouldn't be a lag in when you guys hear them. But I'm just... it's been kind of bad weather and not feeling like getting a hold of people. But like I said, I feel motivated about this topic. And, I know, Stan, we've talked about cryptocurrency on the podcasts. And, I know some people respond that they know what we're talking about. Some people respond that, they have no idea what we're talking about. And then, I definitely bet we get a bunch of eye rolls whenever we mention cryptocurrency. Now you've said that you had invested in cryptocurrency and quite a bit about it. When was like the first time that you decided to jump into cryptocurrency?
Yeah. So the first time I invested was honestly right before the big jump, when Bitcoin hit, what was it, 20,000?
Yeah,
I think.
Right under.
Yeah. So it was probably, I want to say 3 months before then I hopped in, and it was just because I would see it every day on Reddit. I would always see the freaking token, the Bitcoin token meme riding the roller coaster upwards. And eventually it got to the point where I was like, all right, I need to research this. I didn't have a stable income at all. And it was definitely somewhat of a desperation move at the time. Because, I guess I wasn't looking for to get rich quick, but I was like, I don't have any actual investments. I don't do stocks or anything like that. So, it was kind of an introduction into that world as well. So did a little bit of research, found respected and like good reputation influencers in the field, or I guess educators in the field, whether it be on Twitter, Reddit, or their own source. And I ended up investing in a few of the starters that most people invest in, those being Ripple, and that's a very, very low cost stock or low cost coin. I believe, I'm not 100% positive, but I believe they have really close ties with Microsoft, or it might be a Microsoft coin or built on Microsoft or something like that. So I thought that tie was, a great thing. After that, I had some Bitcoin. I had some Litecoin, which that's personally probably my favorite right now. And then I started to see, when there was a plateau in Bitcoin, altcoins started to rise, and the interest and investing opportunities in that became, something that you could make a little bit of money on if you played the high low game and, bought low, sold high, and you could make money just during the day trading if you followed the patterns. And the one coin that I probably not the best idea bought into right from the get-go, listening to one of the sources that I followed, was Tron. And I bought it when it was 0.02 of a cent, to which it went up to 20 cents at the height of it all. And now it's at 2 cents. So I made a decent amount of money on that. But as of now, I'm completely out of it all. The drop definitely scared me. But yeah, and it's something that I keep seeing more and more nowadays that I want to get back into, since I do have a little bit of savings, and I wouldn't mind diversifying some of my my savings to Bitcoin. But this time around, just like with psychedelics, I want to really try to understand it more, and just, I guess, see the big picture with it, as well as understanding the software and the technology side of it all as well.
Yeah. Yeah, my story with it is I got invested, like, kind of researching and watching it, like late, fall into winter, 2016. And then I had some money coming to me that I, like tax return time, and then some other money coming early in 2017. And so I was kind of like gearing up to be like, all right, I'm going to go like, big.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't need anything right now. The cash isn't going to increase in value. Like, I'm going to like take this plunge, and I was dead set because, like in my video, like I had a trip where I was like thinking about money and connectivity between societies as the internet, keeps increasing us. And the term and the thing that popped in my head was Bitcoin. So I was planning on buying Bitcoin, and I was researching the market, and I saw stuff about altcoins, but because my initial thing was Bitcoin, that's what I was just kind of sold on that. And then so I was like gravitating, all of my research was gravitating towards pretty much Bitcoin only. And then it wasn't even through like a crypto thing on Reddit. It was through something with psychedelics. Somebody just said, Ethereum is the buy right now, and don't worry about the price. Just buy as much as you can with every paycheck, or something like that. And I was like, man, that's a pretty good idea, And I saw that was on Coinbase as well. And so I was like, all right. And it was like $35 at the time or something like that. And so I was like, well, I'll buy one, and then so like every paycheck I was just buying one Ether, and I think I had gotten up to like 40 or something like that. And then once I was, kind of invested, financially, and not just, emotionally and from my research and stuff like that, I was just messing with Coinbase. Basically all of 2017 until like the end of summer, I was like afraid to set up like an account on an exchange and move stuff around and everything. And so like I was just buying Ether. And then when Litecoin came on, I bought Litecoin, and I had just been kind of accumulating this stuff. And once I got that chunk of money, like I put like most of that in, and I was smart enough to kind of trickle in. And because I had seen it go up and down, I was like, oh, I'm going to try and buy the dip, like everyone says. And I did all that. And then once everything started going crazy, a friend of mine who had bought later than I did, but put in less money than I did, all of a sudden had a portfolio that was like 3 times the size of mine. And I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, dude, trading. And I was like, okay. So I started trading, but I was following a bunch of different, YouTube stuff and everything. And, everybody seemed like a genius because you couldn't make a bad move, and like, I just got used to that mentality of like reading about a coin and then, doing whatever. And I wish that I wasn't caught up in that. I wish I had stuck to my initial, like, kind of, the way I was doing things, because then I wouldn't have gotten the greed bug and I would have cashed out a significant portion in late 2017 before everything shit to bed. But I was in this like trader, like, oh man, look at these moves I'm making. Like, which is what everybody was. And unfortunately, like, I totally still believe in crypto, and possibly even more than I did before. But I just, like, I don't know. I didn't believe that it was going down. Like, there was all the warnings, but everyone ignored it. And unfortunately, the sentiment towards crypto and within crypto right now is very negative because everyone just went through kind of the same thing, like there's the people that are like, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's bullshit, I lost all my money, but they bought like at the top. And then there's people that started around when I did that didn't know enough to sell when they should have, and they're all waiting for it to come back around again. And it's just a very down sentiment right now. But I think if someone, it's the time to research it because the hype is gone. All the people, that are yelling about Lambos and quitting their job in a grandiose fashion because they think they're rich now. All of those people are broke for quite a long time now, and they've gone back to work and they won't be involved in it anymore. So I think it's going to be a more mature space going forward. We forgot to say too, I guess, that anything we're talking about is for entertainment and story purposes and everything. This isn't financial advice. Like, this is probably the riskiest thing you could put your money into. But I think I think that if anyone is interested, like I said, now is the time to research it, because a lot of the hype is gone. And you can read between, you got to look past the overly negative, like, kind of naysayers that are here to dance on its ashes, like, kind of look past all that bullshit and see like what's actually being built behind the scenes. And it just kind of strengthens like the validity of it all to me, honestly. And I think the future is a lot different than what kind of the pre bubble crypto people wanted it to be. Like we all the OGs in crypto wanted it to destroy the banking system and the investment system and become the one world currency and destroy the dollar and end world wars and all of these very idealistic things. But I think basically it's going to end up just kind of being incorporated into all that stuff and strengthening both kind of circles. And that's kind of where I think it's at. And for me personally, even if that doesn't happen, I was smart enough to once Bitcoin got under 10,000 and I had seen my portfolio just dwindle from 6 figures to 5 figures. I at least did have I was wise enough to be like, I got to get my investment out, so everything I have is house money at this point. And so like, it's kind of a really good space to get to because there's a lot less emotion involved in it for me. I'm not biting my nail. I don't even look at the price most days, unless someone texts me or something or whatever. Like I'm not watching charts like I always was, so like at least I had that. And that's definitely anyone getting invested in cryptocurrency. Like that should be your first goal. Like your first goal is to comfortably get, to a place where it's house money, and don't be afraid to take your profit and to get your investment out. That's definitely, something I recommend for anyone getting into it right now. But yeah, it is hard to get to that point where it's house money. But the thing is that even if it goes down from here, like it's already so much lower from where people are going to try to get it back to that, as long as you're not going in, like you said, like not a get rich quick, because that's the other thing. Like there's so many people that are like, what the hell? It's been a year. I'm not rich. Like, are you kidding me? Because if you look at Bitcoin right now, and this may not age well, but it's like $3,500. Okay, well, 2 years ago, it was less than 1,000. So it'd be pretty hard to find an investment that tripled your money in 2 years.
Yeah, true.
So like you take out the middle of that chart, that was a crazy bubble that was completely over speculated. It's actually not doing that bad. It's kind of just come back to normal. And I see a lot of chart stuff that say it's going to go even lower. And like I said about, any prices we call out in this probably won't age well because of the volatility. But I could see that, and the thing is like that's an even better opportunity. And that's why I recommend people research it for quite a while before they decide if they're going to put any money into it, because you got to see a couple of these cycles and see what happens from month to month, to where if you start researching it right now, in 3 months, if it does go down again and it goes to 1,000, well, you've got a hell of an opportunity in front of you there, and there's the old Warren Buffett quote that be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. And that's how you make money in the stock market. And that's how you make money in crypto too. All the people that did cash out and did take their profits and did make a lot of money in that bull run. Well, all of them had already seen that happen and knew what was going to happen, and if you're selling, it's because someone's buying. And so, they were selling to the people that shouldn't have been buying.
Well, yeah. And I would say a large chunk of the people that created that crazy rise in speculation and the crazy increase in fluctuation in price were first time buyers of any sort of stock, crypto, whatever. And,
Absolutely.
Myself included. And you almost have to go through that to learn, I mean, unless you hold somebody's advice dearly and, you sell when it's high and all that. But in that craze, you're blind to that and you just want more and the greed takes over, like you said. But I mean, as bad as it was for me, I mean, I lost good amount of money, just like you said. And I mean, I still got out my initial investment and all that good stuff, but I'd lost a lot of what could have been. But I look at it now as just, no pun intended, but a valuable learning lesson,
Yeah. Well, and yeah, that's the thing. And that even if I'm wrong about the future of it and it never gets back, I didn't lose any actual money. And I in the past 2 years of watching this shit, I have gained, almost an MBA's worth of knowledge, in finances and global economics and investment and, charts and historical prices of commodities and, all the stuff that I've ended up researching. It is very valuable knowledge. It is completely changed. And one definite positive of going from being coin rich and thinking that I had economic freedom or financial freedom in my life, to no, you're back where you were, that transition has really helped change my like kind of spending habits and the way I just look at money and the way I, look at money going forward, and the way I look at, I don't live with like regrets or anything, but like it's more knowledge that when I'm sitting back thinking like, oh man, imagine like if I could just tell the 21-year-old me like the knowledge I have now, like that's part of it, because I was so shitty with money like throughout, my entire 20s and hell up until a few years ago, just completely reckless with money and treated credit like it didn't matter and just terrible stuff. And this whole cryptocurrency thing, like I said, even if it is over, it resulted in me really learning, just super valuable lessons for my financial life going forward. And that makes it all worth it too. I think another interesting lesson that I learned is like kind of the human psychology of all of it, the greed and the just kind of herd mentality and all these things that we saw, during this crazy bull run bubble, to see them in other people, to see them in myself, it's just really cool. And I think, all that kind of makes it worth it too. It kind of puts like human psychology of society and stuff like that into a good perspective for me going forward.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it was kind of honestly like similar to the election, with how meme based Trump's running was and his campaign was, and every day you'd see Trump memes, and that led to potentially partially his election, and just like how Bitcoin, like I said on Reddit, it was almost like every refresh cycle or whatever Reddit hits, there was a new Bitcoin meme at the top of the page, and it was just crazy. And I mean, that in regards to controlling or having a play in human psychology, that's such a large role because millions of people are seeing it every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a wild ride, man.
Yeah. I mean, it really was, and I mean, so when I say that, like, I think it'll all come back around, and I don't think it'll look like what it did.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of fear I know several people, and I, read it, the people that are left on Reddit and stuff like that, there's this term holding bags, and that's, people that invested in riskier coins that were cheaper that you could get a ton of. And then, they might've went up because everything was kind of going up, but now they've gone way back down to where everyone's kind of lost money on it. And the other term they use for that is wrecked, that you'll see on Reddit. So there's a lot of people that are wrecked holding bags, and kind of everyone's like, oh, this is the cycle, and next bull run, I'm just, it'll go back. And it's like, I think there's a lot of coins that, and this part of the crypto boom kind of mirrors the .com boom, but there is a lot of coins that, because you could just make a coin, and as long as you had a nice website that had, that told a good story and made people think they bought it. And then so the developers who start out with a lot of them, they cash them all out while they can, and just kind of run away with the money, and that was the whole like ICO model that, was kind of this innovative way of raising capital, that, is a good idea, and I think will happen in the future. But the problem was they weren't doing it right, and basically they were selling securities, and the SEC is going to get involved and like kind of end, any company that had an ICO is probably going to be found to, have violated securities law.
Yeah.
And they aren't going to have the money to be able to be registered to sell securities, and those coins are just going to go away. And there's a lot of people holding on to them thinking that they're going to get back to where they were. And so I don't think that's the case. But I do think, hidden behind all the stories of like, just laughing at the Bitcoin hype, these all these opinion piece articles as it goes down that pop up like, ha, look at this, we told you, blah, 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 you know. And well, hidden behind all those is the stuff talking about the institutional infrastructure that is getting built. Like, I don't know how much you've read about Bakkt, BAKKT. Do you know anything about that?
I've heard of it. I don't know anything about it, but I've definitely seen the word a few times.
So that is a product being developed by ICE, which is Intercontinental Exchange. They own the New York Stock Exchange, and basically it's you know, an investment portfolio or you know, part of their investment group that you can just add to your portfolio if you already have a New York Stock Exchange portfolio and stuff like that. But it is basically going to not only allow you to invest in a whole bunch of different cryptocurrencies. I think they're just starting with Bitcoin, but on their website they have a whole bunch of coins. But they are it's a custody service, so they are going to hold the coins for you, so you have a stake in these coins. But it is also a payment service, and they've hooked up with, I believe, Starbucks and I forgot the other chain, but yeah, it's going to be like, you know, because if you have a stock portfolio, you can't spend stock, right? Yeah, but you can spend cryptocurrency, and that's what's so unique about it, and why I don't think it will go away, and it is going to be incorporated into the institutional investment world, is that it's a security that you're hoping goes up in value, but it also has a utility as a means of exchange because you can't double spend it. You know, the crypto part of it. So it has it can be sat on for an investment, or it can be used as currency, and that's what this Bakkt project is going to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's a whole lot more in depth than that. You know, I haven't fully, you know, understood, because I don't really understand a lot of their investment jargon and stuff like that. I don't know the fees and everything like that. But essentially, you know, and that's part of the theory of, like, they're kind of crashing the crypto market so that they can soak up all the Bitcoin, and that, you know, that's possible, because for the whole thing to run, because they are a custody company, like, they have to you know, have a lot of Bitcoin and, you know, saved up and stored and stuff like that. You know, but they're buying all this over the counter or OTC so that it doesn't affect market prices, you know, like it's we don't know how long they've been doing this. You know, when they announced, like, how long had they been accumulating Bitcoin before they announced this?
Yeah.
You know, it gets hidden all the time, but, you know, it came out that Fidelity Investments has been mining Bitcoin since 2015. So if they've been mining it that long, I'm guessing all of these people have been, you know, and like, they probably already have a good idea from, you know, talking with clients and stuff like that, of knowing what percentage of their clients would be interested in investing in this stuff. And they've accumulated how much they need to try it out, or they've accumulated a ton. You know, there's no way to really know, but I think that's how the future is going to look. It's not going to be the banks are going to crumble and debt is going to be forgiven, and then, you know, the people that own cryptocurrency are going to be the richest people in the world. I don't, you know, like, that's such a silly idea to think that that's possible, you know? And so I think when you look at the institutional infrastructure, that they keep delaying stuff for sure. But it's not going away. You know, a lot of these negative articles, they equate Bitcoin to Beanie Babies, right? I don't know if you've ever seen people, you know, talking shit on Reddit about that. You know, I was talking about crypto on Facebook, and someone was like, so how many Beanie Babies is a Bitcoin worth now? You know, like, that kind of shit. Yeah. And, like, I get that. Even my mom, I remember, that's all I remember about the Beanie Baby craze, was, like, my mom had crates of them in our basement. I don't know how much she thought she was worth or whatever, but, you know, it was this crazy, like, I've seen interviews of people that they said they were a millionaire on paper from Beanie Babies. So it's a fair assumption to equate Bitcoin to Beanie Babies, because the same human psychology, the fear of missing out and just the hype and being like, I gotta buy it. I don't know why, but I gotta buy it. Like that took place in the same way. But the difference was there anything being built around Beanie Baby? Was Fidelity buying a Beanie Baby factory at the time, and was the stock exchange coming up with some system where they would hold the Beanie Babies for you and you could invest in a stock of them? And so no, like there wasn't a utility to a Beanie Baby. So once that hype went away, it just became a stuffed animal again. But then crypto is different, and there's something called what is it called? Amaya's law, or wait, let me look. Amara's law, and that was from this like technological dude, and so he proposed that whenever a new technology comes around, we overestimate the impact of it in the short term, but then we always underestimate it in the long term. And this is what happened with the .com boom.
Yeah.
Right. That much like with the ICO craze, where everyone's like, you make a token, you make a lot of money. That's what's happening right now. With the .com boom, everyone was like, just make a fucking website. It doesn't even have to be a good company or anything. It just has to be a website, and make it public and sell stock, and we'll make a lot of money and we'll sell the shares. And that's what happened. And so websites and the internet and e-commerce didn't go away once the .com bubble burst. That's where Netflix and Amazon and everything came from. It was pets.com and whatever that all went away. And so, and when it died, everyone's like, see, brick and mortar is the way that commerce is done. No one's going to buy shit on the internet. So they underestimated it in the long term. And that shows, if you look at the history of the S&P 500 and the stocks from that time, you could barely tell where the .com bubble was, compared to where they're at now, and how it's changed, the stock market. And so I think that crypto, everyone overestimated it when it was $20,000 Bitcoin, but now they're totally underestimating it and where it's going to go.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's such a good analogy, or that law that you brought up. That could be applied to a ton of new technology. I mean, even like VR, or, not just money and value based tech, but, smartphones or stuff like that,
I mean, even social media.
Yeah.
Now kind of the sentiment with social media is like it's destroying society right now. Well, that's because it's new. We're just figuring out still how to use it, and now we're getting to the point where everyone was so into it. Now everyone's sick of it. But look in the future. What is social media going to do for scientific research? What's it going to do for global, relations between countries? Like we don't even understand the impact of being as connected as we are and how that's going to change the future. So like, I think that law definitely makes sense, that we underestimate stuff in the long term once the hype dies down about something new.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think, I mean, I can't really remember how email went, but it was kind of that way where like people were like, email sucks, whatever, like there was companies that like, hey, can I email you? And they'd be like, no, or whatever. And like, you can't even imagine getting along without emails now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's
well, and Instagram and, websites are now like the new business cards. So
yeah. And, it just makes sense that crypto is going to be that way. Like I see in the future, and we've talked about, like content and how people take in content. And, there's, there's several cryptocurrencies. The one that comes to mind is BAT, BAT, and so that it works with their browser, and you can earn crypto by watching ads. Like, it blocks ads, but if you want to earn some of these tokens, you can watch ads. And then there's I believe Steemit and DTube. Like, I think that's how they work, and you can pay content providers, that tip them with their cryptocurrency and stuff like that. I think that is going to become so commonplace once blockchain is just kind of in everything. Like, I don't think we're going to notice the transition from our apps and content, the content we soak up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to notice when it has become blockchain technology until we start, really wanting these tokens that everyone offers and stuff like that. And I think, going 20, 30 years down the road, right, when, automation in jobs has kind of taken over, and, like, it's kind of harder to get jobs, like that kind of might become a lot of people's like way of income, is just like, well, we already take in all this content, let's just watch some ads, or whatever. And like, I think like that's a really good model of cryptocurrency that like will only go, grow in the future. Like, I look at my kids, and my son, all he wants for his birthday is V-Bucks, which is like the cryptocurrency in Fortnite, to buy like weapons and clothes. So he wants that, and he wants whatever the crypto is that they use to tip Twitch streamers. Like, he watches people play video games, and if you tip them, they give you a shout out. And so he wants to do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's kind of crazy that's all he wants for his birthday is this cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
and that's all his friends want. And that's, that's kind of where that generation that is just all they do is watch YouTube and play video games. Well, not all they do. I keep them off it as much as I can, but I mean, like, that's all they want to do. Like, people going forward are just going to eat up internet content like crazy.
Yeah. It's going to be, like you said, we're not even going to know when it's blockchain. And, when you were talking about it, that the idea in my mind that popped up was it's going to be something as simple as liking a post or upvoting a post.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be right there. But, but I definitely wanted to talk to you a little bit about, I guess, like, just if you could educate me more on the technology of it, or, some of the listeners, I'm sure, don't have any information about it currently, but I don't know where to start. That's the problem. So is there any way that you could kind of explain what blockchain technology is, or do you know about it in an in-depth way that you would be comfortable explaining it?
Well, so first off, like, anyone listening that does know, like, that is some sort of, knows how to write code and develop apps and stuff like that, definitely hit us up, help find the others at protonmail.com, and we'll have another episode that is technologically like more sound.
Yeah.
Because the problem with it is that the nuts and bolts of blockchain is all back end developer stuff. Like, it just looks like script, right? And like, so the stuff that we never see, we all deal with computers on the front end, with windows and stuff you click on, and, boxes of pictures and stuff like that. So no, I don't understand, like, like totally what it is, but what I do know is that blockchain solves a lot of problems just extraordinarily well and is a game changer. But probably about 75% of the touted uses of blockchain are solving a problem that doesn't exist.
Okay.
That it's like, oh, that'd be good with blockchain. And it's like, no, it really doesn't make a difference. But where it comes into play is in, well, like I said, it will change the way internet advertising is. And like I said, getting paid to watch advertisement or to produce content and stuff like that. It will change that. And the reason that it needs to be blockchain is so that, because the most revolutionary thing of Bitcoin was the fact that you can't double spend it. And that is the part that every crypto has taken, is the cryptography of it allows it so that you can't send one coin to someone and then that same coin to someone else, or you can't fake your wallet to have more in it, which you can do with our current online currency with banks and stuff like that. Like, if you can hack their security system, you can change everything around and move accounts and whatever. With crypto, you just can't do that. It's such tight security, and the coding involved with it and everything. It involves these, really complex mathematical riddles, basically, to be able to change anything. And anybody that uses that network, it's kind of like a torrent. Like everyone has a piece of it.
Okay.
And that piece that everyone has is the blockchain. And every time there's a transaction, it gets downloaded to everybody that has it. And it creates, this situation. Like you can look now. I follow this Twitter account called Whale Watch, and every time something on any of the altcoin blockchains or the Bitcoin blockchains, anytime there's like a huge amount moved, it says like, hey, look at this, look what this transaction is. And I mean, there's $300 million of coins getting thrown around, and so you can't really, it takes a lot more investigative knowledge to be able to find out who any of these wallets are. But all transactions are seen by anybody that has the blockchain downloaded. And there's no server, there isn't. That's what they say when it's decentralized. That you can't, go hack into their servers because the server is everybody.
Yeah.
And the verification of all these is done by the computers that everyone calls mines, and then so there's these computers that they have to verify the transactions, and by that they have to solve the code to be able to write and edit the blockchain. And then once they verify that, they are and they fill up a whole block, they are awarded the coins, and that's where the mining creates these coins. And so you have these miners and mining farms that are verifying all the transactions. And once they verify it, they send it out to everyone that has a copy of the blockchain, and that gets updated. And then they get these coins, then they put them on the market or on the over the counter market and sell them. And that's how they're making profit. So there is a theoretical.
So they get a piece of the transaction.
No, that's just an award. That is how the coins are created. In proof of mining cryptocurrency, that is how, with Bitcoin, for instance, there will only ever be 21 million coins created. But I think right now it is 12 and a half Bitcoins are awarded for every block of transactions that gets verified. And the block size is set at a certain amount. I don't know. It's, it's amount of data, and that makes a block. And once that block is full, and you get 12.5 Bitcoin.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
To whatever address is mining that. And so that's the thing. I don't know how that works. I've never ran a mine. I don't even know I don't even know what it looks like what you're looking at. I don't know. I mean, you could probably look it up on YouTube, but I've never have. That's just what I've gotten to understand. And so there's no time to when the 21 millionth Bitcoin is awarded, but it's just how many transactions are. The more transactions there are, the closer we're going to get to that. It's just filling up space, and then once that space is filled up, then that's all. But you also have to think Like that's pretty scarce, 21 million coins is pretty scarce. You also have to think like there were people mining, back in the days when there wasn't that many transactions, you could mine 1,000 coins in like a day, if you were, nerdy enough to know how to do that. And how many people did that and then lost their laptop or, for like most of Bitcoin's life, it hasn't been very valuable, and it's been a very small community. And even now that, most people have heard of it now, it still is like less than 1% of, people in Earth have invested in it, So like, there's so many that are gone. It's going to be so extremely scarce at as more people try to get it,
Well, and I mean, compared to, for the listeners, compared to our traditional currency, paper money, I mean, that's getting printed whenever it's needed to be printed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this, once it hits the 21 millionth, it's done.
Yeah.
There's no more printing Bitcoin.
Yeah. And that's just Bitcoin, like I was saying about like the uses that blockchain, the technology is good for is I know one, there's a couple projects that deal with, like kind of getting rid of counterfeit goods that are made in China, and that, they use a blockchain ledger, because you could put the information in these blocks and these transactions, like it can just be files too, and just kind of record keeping. But you don't have a server, and you have a network of people that are interested in the platform, not necessarily that are in the industry it works for, like the, let's say counterfeit purses. Okay. You don't have to be involved in the purse industry to be interested in a crypto token that is trying to show the chain of possession to make sure that it's a legit purse and not a counterfeit purse. But if they offer a crypto token in reward of either just securing the network or verifying the change of hands along, the production cycle or whatever, however you make purses, there could be people that are like, I think this is a really good idea. I'm gonna just have a wallet in this platform and make cryptocurrency by having my computer use its computing power to verify these transactions, and then I get 10 tokens and I sell those, or I trade them, or I sit on them, or whatever. So like there's a couple good tokens that are, interested in that. I think like that it goes beyond purses and stuff. I don't know why that's what I came to mind, but, just like car parts and where, like stuff, the industry that's like getting pieces of a bigger whole from different places, to show that they are like legit good quality from the right place. They're not counterfeit. They're not faulty. They're, or if you have to chase down faulty stuff, it's this basically, like I said, it's like a ledger that is keeping record of everything along the way, but it's not stored in one place and nobody can change it. You can't lie.
Yeah. If
you lie, everybody sees it. And so, that can go to medical records, that can go to fucking voting, right? I really think that could change voting in the future. Like we could vote from our phones if it's all blockchain verified. And you could reward voters with coins, and like, wouldn't we have a better turnout if you got fucking paid to do it, and there wouldn't be voter fraud.
Hands from your phone.
Yeah. You wouldn't need voter fraud. You wouldn't need voter ID. Like that is a legitimate use for blockchain that I think we will see sooner than later. So everyone gets caught up on Bitcoin, as, thinking these are all currencies and why does there need to be more than one? Well, they aren't just money. Like that's not it. They're worth money. They have value, but they're not all supposed to be, mobile money. Like Bitcoin works really good for that. the two most important things that Bitcoin ever did was, one, that I said, the blockchain and that whole idea of not being able to double spend the token. But the other thing is being anonymous. And you can't ever like sue the Bitcoin corporation. You can't confiscate the ownership. You know, there's no, like, nobody fucking knows. It was just kind of like dropped on us. And that was intentional because it just kind of makes it, it's always going to be the backbone of the cryptocurrency market as a whole, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and so like Bitcoin doesn't do what the other cryptos do, but the other cryptos don't do what Bitcoin does. So I think it'll just kind of, you know, it'll kind of always be there. And I don't think it'll
oh, go ahead.
I don't think it'll like destroy money and become the global currency, but it'll become like the gold standard of this cryptocurrency market that will be all the people that are, you know, verifying all these different networks and get all these coins. Those coins won't be valued in dollars. They'll be valued in Bitcoins. And that's how people will trade them.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I was just about to say is, you know, if you want to buy the lesser known coins, altcoins, you'll have to almost always buy Bitcoin first, or, you know, one of the more known cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. You know, that's changing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different, you know, they call them fiat, you know, portals and stuff like, I mean, you know, just on Coinbase alone, you can buy like 6 or 7, different ones.
Yeah. But I'm saying if I want to buy, let's say, I'm trying to think of a very, very small one, or, well, I mean, Tron even. If I want to buy Tron, I'm going to have one of the more known ones and then transfer that to the currency, or to the exchange where I can buy lesser known ones, or smaller coins, I should say. Yeah.
Now, and for anyone listening that doesn't know, like, there's the exchanges that you trade, you know, coins for a small little fee. And you know, it's much like trading stocks. The websites look all the same and stuff like that. But one of the biggest ones is Binance. And I don't know if you saw this, Dan, but Binance, they are going to, well, they've already started with euros and I think British pounds.
Okay.
But you can buy, then they have a handful of pairings of you know, fiat to crypto. And I think it is, like you said, it's the more known ones, but I'm sure as more people are using their fiat pairings, that they, you know, will kind of increase how many you can just buy with straight up money, you know? And so they're going to be huge, you know, and they've moved to Malta, which is really putting the shingle out there to be the like kind of the go-to place for cryptocurrency.
For crypto, yeah.
Yeah. They're going to be the Swiss banking of crypto for sure.
Well, and definitely, I mean, what you were kind of getting into with the exchanges, and, you know, something we talked about before we started recording was a major question that you get, which is a good starting point for some of the people looking into this, is where to buy and how to buy. And so if you want to start that up with either Coinbase or something.
Yeah. So, all right. So the easiest one that most people start with is called Coinbase, and they're not actually an exchange. They're a broker. And so they kind of just have a price, and they have pretty high fees. And you say, I want to buy this much, and in like 5 days you get it in your wallet, which, you know, a wallet is no different than like an email address, honestly. And when you are receiving or sending crypto, there's this gobbledygook address, and you just put that in the to or from, what, you know, whatever's going on. If you're sending it or receiving it, you send someone your public address, is what it's called. And it's just like sending an email, and it shows up in their box, and there's very, very, very minimal fees in the transaction when you're sending. You know, the high fees in crypto are for the actual buying and selling of it, but to cash. But the sending it, and it's one of the things that is so industry disruptive, at least to banking, is the speed and the transaction fees. Again, on that Twitter page I watch, Whale Watch, I saw a $300 million XRP or Ripple transaction that took, I think it said 38 seconds, and it cost 5 cents.
Wow.
To send $300 million. Now, if anyone listening has $300 million in their bank, go ask them how much and how quick it would take to send that to someone in Africa, because I guarantee it's not as quick or as cheap as Ripple. So that's one thing about sending it is it's super easy. It might sound complex, but it's really not. So that's kind of the easiest way is Coinbase. Now there's other wallets or accounts, if you want to call it whatever. There's other, wallets or email addresses, whatever you want to call it, that you can save it on that are better than Coinbase, because as long as it's in Coinbase or on any exchange, you don't actually own it. They own it, and you have to kind of ask them to get it out, and there will be a delay in how long it takes and whatever. So I recommend everyone get what's called a hardware wallet, and they basically look like a USB drive, but there's a password that you have to put in, and you have to hit actual buttons on it. And that is a key in internet security, that, there's no viruses or anything that can copy pressing a physical button. And, so that is, you could use these wallets, you could plug them in, and they're just USB. You could plug them into a library at the computer that has every porno virus in the world on it. and they can't steal your money. Basically the only way, if you have your crypto in one of these wallets, basically the only way that someone could steal it is in a phishing attack, where you accidentally give them your password.
Yeah.
And well, actually, no, that still wouldn't work, because it has the physical buttons. They're really the best thing. Unless someone stole it from you and you had your password written down, that's the only way. Because seriously, it is super safe from your computer. You can't get onto it. You have to actually have the physical thing to push the buttons. So that's the best way to store. And that's revolutionary as well. If you had that $300 million XRP, you can store all of that on that thumb drive and fly anywhere in the world, and not, and have all of your money with you, which you can't do with money. You have to declare cash that you have on you and whatever. So being able to have this, massive amount of value, and not in a bank, in your possession, is pretty huge. Now, if someone doesn't want to buy one of those, another wallet that is good to have is what's called Exodus. It's free. It's a wallet you download, and it is pretty safe. But you could have a virus that copies your passwords that you enter, so that still could get hacked into if you did something that downloaded a nasty virus on your computer. So that's the way to store crypto. And then, like I said, there's exchanges that you send it to and then trade for other cryptos. I think once you figure out how to use an exchange, there is easier ways and cheaper ways. Maybe not easier, but there's cheaper ways to buy without paying the fees that Coinbase has. And so one of those is Gemini, and that is an exchange that the Winklevoss twins that Mark Zuckerberg stole Facebook from, they own this exchange and run it, that is trying to be and will be kind of the safest, most regulated exchange in America. And they're playing very nicely with the SEC and all the government agencies that would be watchdogs of crypto. And so that one, there is basically you have to wire money in from your bank account. And then you have it like in your account on the exchange, and then you can set a price that you want to buy the crypto at, instead of just paying Coinbase whatever their going rate is at the time.
Okay.
You could be like, I'm going to wait. If Bitcoin's going to get down to $1,000, I'm going to buy 5 of them. And you can have $5,000 sitting in your account. There is no fee to transfer money in or out of Gemini for cash, but there is a trading fee, but it is smaller than Coinbase's broker fee. And so basically what I mean by that is, like, if you say, I want to buy I put $5,000 into Gemini and I want to buy 5 Bitcoin if it gets to $1,000, and you put in a buy order at that much, you will get like $4,970 worth of Bitcoin or something like that, or whatever. I don't know what their actual percentage is, but I know it's lower than Coinbase. So I recommend doing that. And also, like I said, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes. That allows people to do what I said before, of like, you're ready to go. You're ready to be in, but you're not in yet. And you're researching it, and you're setting price points of when you think would be a good time to buy, and you don't have to, because when there's a big rush and everyone's trying to buy or everyone's trying to sell, all these sites, they get overloaded with traffic and they shut down and you can't make a move. So if you can be ready to pull the trigger for 6 months, even while you're, and you could just look at it as another bank account. These places are not going to go down. It's the goddamn Winklevoss twins. And like, they're, testifying in front of Congress about this shit and everything. Like, their website isn't going to go down. They aren't going to steal your money. You can have it sitting there. And just be ready to, when you feel the market, when you feel you kind of understand it, you never fully understand it, but you're like, all right, even if I lose a little bit of money, it's going to be all right. It's going to come back. As long as I don't sell it, like, it'll come back. Being ready on an exchange like Gemini. Coinbase also has one that does the same thing called Coinbase Pro. Being in one of those is kind of a good move. There's also another app called Abra, and you can buy stocks on that app as well, but you can kind of do the same thing on there. They have higher fees. They say they don't have fees, but it's kind of built into the app. The pricing of the coins is higher than it would be anywhere else at that time. But it's it's a real easy app to use, and you can load money in, and there's no bank transaction fees for cash in and out. The only thing I'll say about that is I have money sitting on Abra, but I don't trust Abra as much as I trust the other ones that have very very public faces that I see every day in the crypto news feeds and stuff like that. Like, I know who the CEO of Coinbase is. I know who the CEO of Gemini is. I don't know who the fuck Abra is, So like, it's a good app. And one thing I like about it is they have a crypto token on there that is actually an index fund. It is made up of like the price of the top 10 cryptos all put into one. Yeah. So that's a good thing to do too, because there's a lot of index funds out there for crypto and a lot of hedge funds, but they're for the big dogs. You got it. Like, some of these index funds, you need to put in $20,000 minimum to invest in them. And so, that's why I have money in Abras, because I like that idea of like, an index fund with, no minimum, buy-in,
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of research that even during the big bull run, the best strategy, with the best results and the least risk, was to index your investments and just basically kind of wait out the top 10 performers and adjust accordingly as it switched, as the position switched.
Yeah.
And that worked better than just trying to pick a winner and stick with it. Like just kind of getting a little bit of everything at the top is a good way to go.
Yeah, but I definitely understand your concern for not knowing the CEO.
Yeah.
Or just kind of the makeup of the company, because there's plenty of nightmare stories of, exchanges getting hacked, everybody losing their coins. I mean, what coin did I lose? I lost some, couple $100 worth of some coin because the exchange got hacked and all the coins got stolen.
And unfortunately, the hacks and the stealing that happens shows how fucking secure the shit is. The website's not secure, but the fucking coins are, because they can't catch who fucking did it.
Very true.
They could see where they went, but it's like, I don't know, like,
yeah,
and so, and maybe that will change, and that's probably why, the government wants to be involved. They want to make that safer, and they don't know how, and they're trying to figure out how. But like the latest website to go down, and it's gone. Well, not the latest. There was the one of the Canadian. I don't mean to laugh because people lost money, but the largest Canadian exchange, the owner, the CEO died, and he's the only one that had the password to everybody's coins.
Oh, I saw that.
Now they're saying he might have faked his death because some of the coins are moving around, but so there's probably some shady shit there. And again, that comes back to there's no regulation on the exchanges, and it goes back to get one of these goddamn wallets and keep your own shit. Like that.
Yeah,
keeping shit on exchanges is not good.
That's wild. I didn't know that the coins of his started moving around though.
Yeah, 2,000 Litecoin moved the other day.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but the other one before that was Cryptopia, and I was on there to get some coins before, and it was the shadiest website ever. Like, it was so janky, and the whole time I'm like, why am I fucking around with money on here? Like, and I got everything off of there as soon as I could, but it was like, it doesn't surprise me when that gets hacked, and then they're like, sorry, we can't pay it back. Like, I don't know, like, just use your judgment. If the website doesn't look good, like, don't put money in it, so like that, like I said, those are kind of the best options for just getting into it. And, I don't think anyone needs to, like I said, about watching it for a while. I don't think there's any hurry. I wrongfully in the summer of 2017 told everyone, you better get this shit, like, last chance, and I don't think that's the case. I think everything is kind of waiting on the ETF to be approved by the SEC. So, like, do you know about that?
No.
Okay. So an ETF is an electronically traded fund, I think, or transmitted. No, I think it's traded. And so these have to be approved by the SEC, because the whole idea is that you're going to sell it and under the promise that it's going to go up in value. And that's the only reason people would get it. Right. And what this does for commodities is it validates them to the investment world. But it lets people be exposed to the price without actually having to get it. And so if you look back, a lot of people equate Bitcoin to digital gold. And, there's arguments for and against that. But for the purposes of talking about the ETF, it's very important because of the effect that the gold ETF had on the price of gold. So I looked back in the history of gold, and in 1971, Richard Nixon ended the gold standard. And so the government had kind of set the price of gold up until 1971, and it was at like $35 an ounce. And so they they took the reins off of it. The government did, and the price started going up, and then it went down a little bit and everything like that. And then they started trading gold futures in like 1974, and there was, kind of that became like, ooh, we can invest in this, all right, and it kind of kept the price down. It had been going up, and then it kind of just kept it even, and it went kind of sideways for like 30 years. And in 2004, the ETF was approved, the first ETF for gold. There's a bunch now, but the first one was approved. And from that point on, from 2004 until, I don't know, like 2013 or 14, gold went from like $300 an ounce to like $1,800 an ounce. Now, there was a lot of things that happened. I've seen arguments that this is because gold is actually used in like electronics, and there was more electronics being whatever. But when you look at the gold reserves there are and bars and stuff like that, like the portion of gold on the planet that is being used for, any sort of industry is nothing compared to what's just being stored.
Yeah.
And that's very similar to Bitcoin. The amount of Bitcoin that's there is just getting stored. Like, not many people are buying stuff with Bitcoin. And once that ETF gets in there, because right now the futures are what's keeping Bitcoin prices down, I believe. Is that
so? What exactly are futures?
It's basically like they have, the terms are shorting and longing, and it's trading basically it's trading a Bitcoin that neither of you have, if that makes sense. And if you're shorting it, you are betting that it is going to be down to a certain price by a certain date. And if it doesn't, then you have to actually have Bitcoin in the exchanges. And this is also not legal. Some of the websites that people do this on are not legal. To legally trade futures in the United States, you have to be an accredited investor, which means you have you're a millionaire already, basically. Mm-hmm. So normal people can trade futures on websites using a VPN. Okay. And so I've never done it. So I don't really know the technicals about it. That's another thing that, people can watch YouTube videos about it. I have a buddy who does. So that is.
So it's a gamble for what the price will be.
Right. But it's also a way to hedge your bets. If you were holding Bitcoin,
ooh, true,
you could bet on it going down and make Bitcoin on it, on it going down while you're holding your other Bitcoin. So that's what people do. And as long as they can do that, they do that. And then eventually it switches when the sentiment switches and it goes up and people long it is what it's called. Okay. Yeah. But it's also, you can manipulate it. That's the thing, is crypto is so small. Every crypto out there right now, every token, and you add up the value and you get your market cap, is 118 billion, I think, last time I looked. The entire market cap of just Amazon in the stock market is 800 billion. So it's so small compared to the money that is out there in the investment world. And, if 1/8 of the shareholders of Amazon decided to sell their stock, it might not even move the price of the stock that much, not anything that it couldn't recover from. Yeah. To where if everybody sold their crypto would be done. So it's just so small compared to the stock market.
That's wild. Yeah, I remember McAfee, is that his name? Mm-hmm. Big name in crypto. Yeah, I remember when he did a coin of the day or coin of the week or coin of the month or something, and it would fluctuate so much just because of how much attention he got and how small the market was.
Yeah.
that was crazy.
Yeah.
People were waiting on his word and hoping to jump in before the huge 50 cent raise or 20% raise or whatever it was. Or people were waiting hand and foot to have Joe Rogan say a certain coin,
Yeah.
so that would go through the roof. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, and and that leads into like kind of the big picture that I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to do a video too, and actually that will probably come out before this podcast does. But there's this idea that well, the first time I heard about it was through Vitalik, the guy that created Ethereum. His dad is a computer genius too. And he mentioned in an interview that cryptocurrency is a collective hallucination. And the obviously the psychonaut in me was like, ooh, that's kind of cool. And that was the first time I like kind of, like saw someone else equate psychedelics and cryptocurrency. But I started kind of like looking into what he meant and then kind of, making my own analogy for it. And so basically, the idea is that when you're talking about like a market, and especially a market like the cryptocurrency, that, one way it differs from stocks is it's 24/7, it's global, and it has complete retail investor access. Okay. So, and what I mean by that is that at any time of the day or night, a accredited investor on Wall Street can buy a Bitcoin or sell a Bitcoin just as easy as a cab driver in Greece can buy a Bitcoin and sell a Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And that's not true with any other investment or asset class. You have to go through a broker in a lot of cases, or a fund manager or whatever. You have to pay withdrawal fees or whatever. You have to wait 5 days, like there is nothing else like the crypto market. In terms of liquidity and access, honestly. And that makes it move so fast, and it is so easily, it overreacts so easily. The group psychology and everything involved with it's so irrational and so volatile because everyone has control of it. And the sentiment around where it's going, and if it's going up or down, if it's going sideways, whatever, is all kind of up to us. And we can manifest the value up to 20,000, and we can manifest the value down to 1,000. And that's never really actually money in or out. We're just changing the value with our vision of it. And so, when I say it's a collective hallucination, like I kind of, an easy analogy I had come up with for that is like what a Ouija board does, and so, not that I don't believe, and for anyone that doesn't know, a Ouija board is the thing with the letters on it, and everyone puts their hands on the piece, and it has a hole in the middle, and it stops over letters. And if you're supposed to think that you're talking to the spirit world, and that's how the spirits can communicate, is through this thing. But it's also a mass-produced board game from Hasbro or Milton Bradley or whatever, whatever the fuck it is. So like, not that I don't believe that you can't commune with the spirit world. I just don't think it's through, a mass-produced board game. So what happens when you're playing that, if everyone's kind of taking it seriously, is the thing moves around, and it will, spell out something that means something to someone in the group. And usually that happens where everyone's like, are you moving it? I'm not moving it. Who's moving it? And then sometimes you'll have someone that's obviously pushing hard and whatever. But for the most part, no one can really tell, kind of what's going on. And I don't believe that is because we're communing with the dead. I believe that it's because everyone's kind of, collectively manifesting this message from someone's dead relative, and usually that follows whoever has the most compelling story. So like, say you ask the spirit, what's your name, and the first letter is J and then it goes to I. Well, there's not a lot of places that it can go after that, so it usually goes to M, and then everyone's like, someone will be, that's my grandpa Jim, that's who it is, and then kind of that takes over everyone's subconscious of like this, message from dude's grandpa Jim or whatever. So that's kind of like what I feel happened with cryptocurrency. Is everyone was kind of like, oh, it's going to go up, and there were more hands pushing it towards the bull market and going up, and that was the compelling story. The compelling story was that Bitcoin was going to be worth $1 million a coin, and it's guaranteed, and you're going to be rich in a year if you just buy now, and so it took on the shape of a Ponzi scheme, but it was because everyone's sentiment was like kind of pushing it that way. And once cooler heads prevailed, then the compelling story has become, it's going away, it's going down. Even if people don't think it's going away, people are waiting to buy back in. They want it to go lower. So like, that's the compelling story, is everyone wants to get a reset of the market to get another chance again.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the compelling story now. And so every time that sentiment changes, like this value goes in and out, because I don't think that many people are like selling and cashing and taking money out of the market right now. We're just changing the value of it with our vision of it, and it's, like I said, it's part hallucination, it's part law of attraction, and like, just manifestation and like kind of, manifesting your visions and like kind of just seeing what's going to happen. And I really think that's what's going on with it, and that plays in. You can see that data. I think that's why when you look at charts and like the buying psychology of market cycles and stuff like that, it exists in Bitcoin, it exists in stocks, it existed in Beanie Babies, it existed in tulips, all of these things. That's just kind of like, people manifest the value of things. We manifest the value of the American dollar because of how much of our life and hours out of our life it costs us to get those dollars. If we, we just kind of agree on the value of dollars, and other countries agree based on like our trades and our tariffs and, our trade policies and all of that stuff. Like, there isn't, money is just printed. So we just kind of come to a consensus of the value of it. And that's a parallel, I think, with psychedelics too, is like, psychedelics help us see there's all these different realities, but then there's the main reality. That's the consensus reality that we're like, this is reality. But psychedelics teach us that there's a lot more to it. And so like that, I don't know, that's just one thinking I had with like, psychedelics and crypto, like how they're kind of parallel each other, is just that kind of idea of like, once, how important decentralization is. I feel like that's the thing, is that psychedelics influence decentralized thought, and then cryptocurrency influences decentralized economies that we don't need. We can determine the value of these things. We don't need government agencies to, and maybe that's a little idealistic, but that's kind of how I see the big picture with cryptocurrencies and how that relates to, like kind of our movement,
Yeah. And once more people just have a desire to understand it too, and that'll build the manifestation. And it really only will take one big story or headline even to have a jump in the value, in my opinion. Well, maybe not the value, but a sway of opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It all it takes is I'm going to jump the gun here and say Amazon, but all it takes is one company that has a great reputation of high amount of transactions to accept the technology. And not even, it doesn't have to be the coin. It could just be the technology.
Mm-hmm.
And that can really sway the public opinion on the whole entire currency.
Yeah, well, and that's some other stories that get buried in the whole, the opinion pieces coming out to piss on the ashes of crypto. They aren't covering that Facebook just acquired a blockchain company that they are going to build cryptocurrency transactions. They're going to build that into WhatsApp.
Oh, wow.
Like that's one of the reasons they bought WhatsApp. And Amazon, through Amazon Web Services, they have, not only have they registered all these domains that are like Amazon, Ethereum, Amazon, Bitcoin, like all these like website domain names that tie Amazon to cryptocurrency. They've bought that. And that just may be to, protect intellectual property. I'm not real sure, but Amazon Web Services has some partnership with, I don't remember which coin, but it's some blockchain thing that's on the Ethereum network. And the inside info seems to be that they are going to create an Amazon coin, which is what I think will happen. I don't think that anything is going to come out of the blockchain world that disrupts the FANG stocks, the Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google. I think as you're seeing those stocks go down and take the whole stock market with them, they're going to be grasping at straws at what can help them. And all four of those companies are already basically set up to just either create their own coin or partner with a company and offer cryptocurrency to either secure transactions like we were talking about, or to watch, Netflix doesn't have commercials, right? Well, what if you could earn Netflix coin if you just watched a couple commercials, or whatever? Like they could make so much money from that. So if Netflix continues to do bad, why wouldn't they add that functionality in? Amazon, with either making their own coin that, I mean, I can't think of how you would earn it, but maybe writing user reviews or, trying out demos, like maybe you could earn coins that way, and then you're just going to buy them on Amazon. So it's kind of like this scenario that they used to have in coal mines where like you lived in the middle of nowhere next to a coal mine, and then they charged you rent from, they basically paid you in coal mine dollars that weren't even American dollars, and you paid that for your rent to live next to the coal mine. And then they had a store that you could use those in, but it was basically owned by the coal mine. So it's like this like closed loop system. What if Amazon jobs are popping up everywhere? They have a goddamn delivery place or whatever. What if like they pay you $15 an hour, but they'll pay you 20 Amazon bucks an hour? And like, so people start doing that.
You can all use it on their site.
And then use it on their site. It becomes a closed loop system. That's entirely possible too. That could be, a dystopian view of cryptocurrency, but yeah, like those four companies are, some of the biggest things in the stock market. And they're the closest out of all of those to incorporating crypto. And it's just a matter of time. Like you said, that and the ETF hanging in the future is such a bright light for crypto for me that I don't fucking care what the price is right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't. And I hope it goes down, cause I can't buy anymore, but I want to, and so like, if it goes down, I would,
so what is the if you could go back to the ETF a little more, is that like the ETF approving a exchange?
No, it's a stock.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a stock, and they determine, how many shares they're going to have. And normally you have to have the gold to back it up. I think, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure about that. The ETF for Bitcoin is going to require that, I think, but I'm not real sure. There's a bunch of companies that have submitted Bitcoin ETF applications, but the SEC has been dragging their feet. And
Gotcha.
and so there's one negative thing about crypto that is hanging in the balance, and I think is why they are all dragging their feet, and that is Mount Gox. Have you ever heard of that?
No, what is that?
Okay, so Mount Gox stands for Magic the Gathering Online Exchange. And it started out as like an eBay for, or just an exchange for Magic the Gathering cards. And then once Bitcoin came around, because they were all nerds on there anyway, no offense to anyone that plays Magic the Gathering, but if you were into Magic the Gathering at this time, like, you were probably into Bitcoin too. Let's put it that way. Not that you're a nerd, but there were similar circles. And they were using Bitcoin as payment because it was people from all over the world buying these cards. And so they were like, we need like a universal currency so we don't have to keep worrying about exchange. And they were like, hey, what about this Bitcoin stuff? And so it went from there to being just a Bitcoin exchange. And it was the first Bitcoin exchange, but it was way early. I don't have the years in front of me, but I think it was 2012. It got hacked, but maybe not. Maybe the guy said, "Oop, I got hacked," and whatever. And this was before you could really, there wasn't any other way to hold Bitcoin. Well, I mean, there was like, the wallets weren't, they were all back end wallets. They weren't front end, like easy to navigate and stuff like that. So this website was the easiest place to keep your Bitcoin. And because when you have your crypto on an exchange, you don't actually have it. This exchange claimed they got hacked and shut down and took basically like almost everybody's Bitcoin that there was. Wow. Because most people had it on this exchange, and it has been locked up since then. The guy is in jail. People have gone to jail. People have gone on from that to start other cryptos. There are some people that are pretty high up in the crypto world that were part of Mount Gox. And, there's a lot of theories of who was in on it, and it was inside job. And that's why they got, there's Mount Gox. If you follow that rabbit hole, you can find all sorts of theories about what happened. But basically, it has still not been legally resolved. And all of these cryptos, because not only is it the Bitcoin, but it's every fork of Bitcoin. So everyone that had Bitcoin in there has the same amount of Bitcoin Cash now, has the same amount of Bitcoin Diamond, has the same, everything that has forked off of Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah.
They have the rights to that too. So it's a lot of money. And basically right after, if you look, there is a trustee that the court assigned to pay back all the creditors, the people that have, had Bitcoin in there. And this was back when Bitcoin wasn't that expensive. So like, people have hundreds, thousands of coins that are owed to them. At first the court was like, you need to pay them back in cash. So the trustee was selling this Bitcoin on the market, apparently. I've never looked at the transactions, but that's what some people said, is they were dumping them on the market and crashed the price at like key moments that like there were big drops in the price. I don't know if that's the case, but they did sell a huge portion of it, and they paid back the wealthiest creditors first. But there's still a lot of people, just normal people, that are waiting for their money. The court now decided you have to give them back their Bitcoin equivalent. And so apparently that will happen this summer, that all this Bitcoin will be handed back to people that have lost it for the last 7 years. And when they had it in this exchange, it was maybe $50, $30, $40 a Bitcoin, maybe. And now, again, this won't age well, but now it's 3,500. They have made a massive profit off of money that they probably kissed goodbye a long time ago. And it is thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. It will all be sold. Most of it will be dumped on the market and sold because it is all retail investors. They can't sell it, in ways that will keep it from affecting the price. So I do think this summer there will be a pretty epic crash. And I think, the institutional investors I was talking about of, the New York Stock Exchange and Fidelity and Goldman Sachs and all these people that are starting these crypto trading desks, they've done their research. They know that. Even if they weren't, they might have been involved in the hack. I've seen, people that think that. That's why they're dragging their feet. They're waiting for the absolute bottom. And then they will start, because then they can offer great profits and show a lot of stuff to their potential clients that look how well we did last year, and whatever. And but again, like the future past that point is so bright that great, let it happen.
Yeah.
And that's the last huge whale manipulation that there can really be. And then once there's an ETF and then, hopefully if Congress gets off their ass and decides to, get some logical regulation and stuff like that, I think the volatility will even out and you won't see these crazy, going up in price $1,000 a month like we saw. But I don't want that to happen. I want this to be a solid investment that I was able to get in on the ground floor with, And that's the opportunity that's here in front of everyone. And that's why I bring it up in this podcast and in other podcasts and stuff like that, is because it's really, I don't want anyone to make a stupid, risky decision. I don't want anyone to max out a credit card to get this stuff and mortgage your house and stuff like that. But we have a period in front of us, and it may be a year, it may be 5 years. I'm not really sure. But we have an opportunity to change, kind of our station in life, our economic freedom. And I've started to realize how important that is. I didn't care about that before. I thought money was fucking stupid and whatever. But after seeing the opportunity to, get out of debt and get a nest egg and start a business and letting that squander away because I was wanting to buy a mansion or whatever, whatever I thought was going to happen. I realized how important it would have been to do that. And I think that's a really important lesson, that, like I said, I don't live with regrets, but I do wish I could pass on knowledge to my younger self. And I was thinking about that today when I was looking at some emails and stuff like that. And I get a lot of emails from 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds. And, well, I mean, hell, you're significantly younger than me. Yeah. I kind of have that. And all of you guys think like me and are on the same kind of path as me. I kind of have that opportunity to give younger versions of myself that knowledge, and that advice through this, and not really change my life any, maybe, but kind of as a way to help out the community, aside from doing the podcast and videos and stuff like that. And I really, I don't want to give anyone a sense of urgency though, but it's something that people need to look into. Stop rolling your eyes at the buzzwords that people use of cryptocurrency and look beyond the hype and the bullshit and just kind of see what's getting set up. There's something big going on, and I think that the earlier in your life you can get economic and financial freedom, the easier it will be to get the spiritual and psychological and emotional freedom that we all want and what we expect from the psychedelic consciousness revolution, right? That's what we want, is freedom for the space in between our ears. Well, if we don't have financial freedom, that is a really hard goal to accomplish. I was thinking about, Timothy Leary and Ram Dass, right? Like they were part of a psychedelic revolution. And then they broke up because Ram Dass was like crazy in debt. Like that's what broke it up, was like not having financial freedom. The gurus of consciousness revolution were brought down by debt, among other things. The law was involved. But in that one documentary, like that's what Ram Dass was saying. Like he was 50 grand in debt in the 60s. That's a fucking lot of money,
Yeah.
And so, this next wave of the psychedelic revolution, what are we going to accomplish if we're all stuck in debtor's prison and we're all wage slaves, like we do have to, at least some of us or most of us have to gain financial freedom. And I don't mean being rich, I just mean being free,
Mm-hmm.
And there's plenty of opportunities. There's plenty of ways to do that. There's, much less risky ways for sure. But I think cryptocurrency is like such a fucking good opportunity. And that's why I bring it up. And anyone listening that's stuck through this podcast and is like, God, this is fucking boring. Like that like I probably should have started with that rant there, but that's the point is like, this is an opportunity. And, if people can afford to take the risk, you might want to, I don't know. And again, that's not financial advice. That's entertainment.
What are some good resources to learn up on?
It sucks. And I hate to say it this way. But you need to take advantage of like targeted ads on Google and just start Googling the stuff, and let those algorithms kind of help you, form, because if you start getting pulled in different directions, you're going to be questioning yourself, And so like, if you start Googling Bitcoin, start Googling Ethereum, start doing all this, and then look at your Google News feed, right? Because that's how everyone gets their news now on their phone, right? And just these other stories that aren't the mainstream media. Like the last place you want to fucking get any sort of crypto information is like CNBC Fast Money or Fox News, or whatever. Like you don't like, fuck that. Like I actually saw someone that created a bot that gave them trading signals that were contradictory to whatever the CNBC Twitter crypto thing was telling you to trade. That whatever they said to do, the opposite was the good move. and so, but that's just trading. I just mean like, and it's biased. I know what I'm saying is biased about letting like Google tell you what's going on. But I just mean like, it will give you the articles that aren't mainstream media articles and allow you. They're not opinion based. They're all like data and chart based and stuff like that. And showing like, they're digging deep on what's going on in like other countries, like you can find out like what Thailand's new law about crypto is or whatever, stuff like that. That is just not on the mainstream media. It's not what your friends on Facebook are sharing about crypto. It's not what, it's like crypto industry news. And if you look at all that and maybe do a little more research to find out if it's true or not, because I mean, there's always the chance that you're getting fake news, right? But the crypto, just like how blockchain is very much interested in finding the truth of transactions, the whole industry is very much involved in researching and finding the truth of news stories as well about their cryptos and everything like that. So, reading the comments on these articles is important too, to see like if it's bullshit or not. And so, there's a handful of websites, but I think like ccn.com is the one that usually pops up on my feed. I think I don't know. ccn.com. That's a good one. And and it has a ticker at the top of coin prices, and then just like different headlines and stuff like that. But it's all kind of like non-mainstream media stories about what's going on, in the crypto world. There's definitely a lot of YouTubers, but I try to find ones that aren't really telling you, hey, you need to get this coin, you need to get this coin, because guess what? Guess what those guys are holding a lot of? Whatever coin they're telling you to get, and so like I like ones that are just telling the news and kind of talking the way I talk about it, honestly, of like, hey, do the research for yourself, look behind the scenes here, look between the lines, not necessarily like, oh, and this coin's going to go up this much and blah, blah, blah. Like it's, someone that's just going to websites and reading the stories, honestly. I definitely think those are good things to do. Reddit sucks. I've stopped paying any attention to crypto Reddit.
Definitely.
Like, basically I only go on to Reddit for psychedelics. Because that just turned into everybody just fighting about this coin's going to do good. This coin's going to do. And like, that's so short-sighted. Like, because while I don't think the cryptocurrency market needs to have 2,000 crypto coins, I think it has to have a lot to be a good ecosystem that promotes bartering and trading and, keeps everything going. I think, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, what you said, well, definitely doing your own research and finding your own sources that aren't opinion-based is the key. But going back to what you were saying, what we were talking about before that with just an opportunity for financial freedom. Like me personally, like, I've had conversations about financial freedom with close friends and family members and all that. And being a psychonaut and having psychedelic experiences, I want so bad finances to have nothing to do with my personal freedom, but it's just not the case. And, with living in a capitalist country and with such a money focused culture, you really do need to have a comfortable financial situation to really, really feel and think freely, I think. And that is definitely a key that you brought up.
Yeah, it is. And if you match financial freedom with also living simply, like imagine being debt free, having a passive sort of income, like with cryptocurrency, that, have your money make money for you, through all these things I've talked about that can award cryptocurrency and stuff like that. Like, there's several currencies that if you just hold it in a wallet, you get awarded per year. Ethereum's going to do that. If you have 32 Ether in a wallet staked so that you can't move it, you will get, I think they said 10% Ether a year of anything over 32 that you have. But anyway, yeah.
Staked meaning it's just in your wallet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you stake it so you can't move it. I mean, it's kind of the idea behind like a CD of a bank, right?
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, imagine living in a tiny house on paid off land, with no debt and having passive income from that. And imagine what you could get into, to grow yourself spiritually and as a person, and grow organic vegetables and go to the farmer's market and so, or whatever. Like, that's financial freedom. Financial freedom isn't having a house in the Caymans, or whatever. I mean, it's yeah. So, and I think that's where you get, that was the other part of that Steve Jobs quote at the start of like that LSD reinforced his sense of what was important, that creating great things instead of making money. Now, this is a man who had a ton of money. He definitely made a lot of money, but much like how he was, the cryptocurrency, like the developers that make, like, especially these big coins and stuff, they have so much money, and they probably already made most of that money from just Bitcoin, let alone whatever coin they created that they have a lot of money from. like they are trying to solve problems. Like, I don't think they're full of shit. When you see interviews with them and all that, they've already they've bypassed the standard economic financial system by creating a whole new one that they're at the head of, and like, they're just trying to solve problems and create great things that will change technology going forward. And that is so different from the standard. That's why I say don't fucking read Reddit to get cryptocurrency knowledge, because that's just jerk offs that are probably lying, and just trying to do whatever and fuck around on Reddit the same way, watch these interviews of these developers and stuff like that. They're so nerdy and genuine that I can't really believe that they're just full of shit about what's going on and it's all a big giant Ponzi scheme. Like, they are really trying to solve problems with society and how we are going to get along with technology, how the human race is going to get along with technology, and all the problems that are going to rise. Like, they're trying to solve that by changing the economic system first, and that's what they're doing. And they are afforded the ability to do that because money doesn't matter to them anymore. That's out of the equation. They don't ever have to worry about that again, and that can be echoed in a psychonaut's life, right? How much easier would it be to let go when you're trying to have a heroic dose if you don't have debt and work on your mind, and so like that's what I mean by like, that needs to be a goal of all of ours. Like, it's not just my goal. I really think that's like, as a community, that's what we need to work towards. And that's why I think cryptocurrency is the opportunity for that, especially when you take into account what I was talking about, how it's a collective hallucination anyway. And if the psychedelic world embraced all of us embraced cryptocurrencies, like, that would be a huge influx of like sentiment that could really push everyone into this realm of economic freedom. I don't know. That might be too grandiose a vision, but I think
no, it makes sense, man.
Yeah. But, well, shit. What time are we at? Oh, we're at almost 2 hours. Yeah, I guess we should.
I mean, I don't know if there's anything else that we should cover until we get an expert.
Yeah, so definitely anyone that's been listening to this laughing at our inaccuracy, I definitely want to have people on that can tell us a little more nuts and bolts about it, and maybe even expand on some of the ideas. That'd be great. So anyone with like IT knowledge and stuff like that, definitely hit us up at Help Find the Others at Proton Mail. And if anyone, wants to call and leave a comment about this or any other questions and stuff like that, what's the number again there, Stan?
567-233-1335.
Okay, awesome. And just to reiterate too, like, sorry if this was boring to anyone that usually listens to the podcast. But I hope at the end we kind of wrapped up why I thought that was important to talk about.
Absolutely.
And again, none of this was financial advice. This was all for entertainment purposes. But until next time, thanks for helping find the others.